So welcome back to Barbecue and Bottles, and today we're going to be making a prime rib roast here. And as things are starting to open back up again, you might want to celebrate the ability to get back together with loved ones again. And there's no better way to do that than a huge feast of a bone-in prime rib. We've got some garlic, we're going to caramelize down some onions, roast peppers. So if you're into that kind of thing, stick with us. So first, you're gonna need to get a bone-in prime rib from your butcher. We've got this absolute beauty here from our local butcher shop. This one, I think we've got 4 bones on this one. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. And what we had our butcher do, you can see here, they've actually pre-cut off the bones, separated that from the prime rib itself, and then they trussed it back together. Now this is just gonna make your life a lot easier when you've got a fully cooked roast and then you're starting to carve in. When you remove the trusses, you can easily peel the bones away, and then you'll be able to just carve in nice and easily, cut slices as thick or as thin as you want. So that's just a little tip. Again, ask your butcher for that. They won't mind doing it. They do it all the time for us. All right, so we're just gonna get this patted nice and dry here with a bit of paper towel on all sides. And just look at the marbling on this guy. Nice little fat cap here as well. And some good marbling on this side as well. All right, all trussed up and ready for seasoning. So with this, we're first gonna go in with a little salt. And this is a huge roast, so it's really hard to over season one of these. And if you have time, you might wanna even do a 24 or 48 hour dry brine on this. The dry brine is a great technique when you've got thick cuts like this because it really helps to give the salt time to internally season the protein that you're cooking. But if you don't have time, or if you just haven't thought about it the night before, you can always do it right before you cook, just like we're doing here now. Even get the bone side here. You don't have to worry about getting too much of the bone just because the seasoning isn't gonna actually make its way through the bones and into the meat itself. And then this last side. Perfect. Now we're gonna go on with a little bit of black pepper. We're going in with coarsely ground black pepper here, as we always do. And the coarsely ground black pepper, just when you're using a smoker, like we're gonna use a smoker here, it will just help a little bit of extra smoke adhere to your protein as that smoke goes over your protein and then catches on some of these pepper particles that are sticking off of the side of your protein. All right, now we're gonna do the same with some granulated garlic. This smells absolutely incredible. Now we've got that all seasoned up and ready to go. So with this all seasoned up, let's go fire up the grill. So we've got the grill preheated to 275 here. Now we're just gonna get our roast on this side. We've got our skillet warming up over here, and this griddle we're gonna use just to caramelize down the onions. But now let's get our temp probes in. So we'll get a temp probe in each end of the roast. And you want this to go in to the thickest part of your roast itself. And we'll do the same on the other side. So this way we'll be able to monitor the temps on each side of the roast just to make sure that it's cooking nice and evenly. So now we're just gonna prep some onions to caramelize. So this will be pretty straightforward. So for this, just cut off the base of your onion, cut off the top of your onion, then cut that in half, take off the outer layer. Perfect. And now we're just gonna wanna slice these fairly thin. They don't have to be as thin as, say, an Oklahoma smash burger, because these are gonna be on there for a while and they're gonna caramelize down. So we're just gonna do that for another 3 onions, and then we'll bring you back for the garlic and the peppers. So we're just gonna take the full clove, just take off the top of the bulb like that. Just like that. So I've got these chopped off, and you'll see we've taken just enough off here so that we can drizzle in some olive oil. We're gonna cover this with salt, pepper, and a little bit of thyme as well. But you still have the outer shell of the garlic bulb, just keeping it all held together. So now get a little bit of thyme here. So now we're gonna go in with a little bit of oil, just on each of these. You can see it just absorbs into all the little crevices of the garlic bulb. All right, now we'll go in with a sprinkle of thyme over top of all of these. Perfect. Now we'll do a touch of salt. Now we'll go in for a touch of pepper. So once you're done with that, these guys should look like this. Now they're ready to hit the grill and start roasting. So we're trying to get these into roughly quarters, just like that. And then we'll remove the stem, brush out any seeds that you can. We're going in for peppers about that size. So we've got the veggies prepped, but what we're gonna do is get the garlics on here first, because it's still early in this cook. These guys are gonna take a while to actually caramelize and cook all the way down through. So we'll get these on, put them on both sides of the roast here. And then when we're closer to the end of the cook, we'll actually get the onions and the peppers on at that point. All right, we're about 2 hours into our cook. The roast is at 75 Fahrenheit. So we're probably about halfway through here. So we're just gonna get a little bit of avocado oil down on the griddle, get our spatula out here, mix that all around. Now we'll get our onions on. I've got a ton of onions here, but these, as they cook down, are really gonna shrink up. So I'm not worried just about the amount of onion that we've got. Okay, so every 15 to 20 minutes, we're gonna check back in on these guys, just move them around with our spatula just as we slowly caramelize them down. Now I wanna bring you over and just check out this roast. You can see here, just a really nice, rich, dark red color forming, and that's all the smoke that's coming off the pellet grill here. So we know we're embedding that really rich flavor profile into the actual roast. You can look at these garlics. Whew, these are hot, but you can see they're coming along, roasting up really nicely as well. We'll probably move those around just to make sure these are getting done nice and evenly. You can see the fat cap is starting to split here, like just barely. So that means this is starting to render down. Still ways to go before that's fully rendered, but this is coming along nicely. Again, an internal temp of 75 degrees Fahrenheit. We probably get another 2 to 3 hours left to go. So you can see here, these guys are coming along just beautifully. Just look at that. So the way that you can tell when those garlics are ready to come off, and we'll take one of these, it's kind of broken a bit, is you just squeeze them. And if the garlic comes out like that, it's already rendered down and melted and caramelized, then you know it's ready to come off. That is really, really good. All right, so just gonna quickly remove each of these, get them cooling. Now, of course, we've made way more than these than we're actually gonna eat tonight, but if you take a mason jar out and you just fill it with the little cloves that you push out of the bulbs and then close that up, you can keep these in the fridge for weeks. So whenever we're making up a batch, we always make up way more than we're actually going to use that night. Awesome. Just look at that. And now we've made room for some of those peppers, but we'll put those on later. All right, we've just hit an internal of 128 on this prime rib roast. Just look at this guy. So we're going to take them off, get them resting. Now we're gonna prep this grill for the sear. Now we've got a charcoal insert on that wood creek. So we're just gonna light up a chimney of charcoal here and then sear that off over ripping hot coals. Now we've got the coal bed insert down in here. We've got our fully lit charcoal chimney down below, and we're just gonna sear off this prime rib roast. We pulled it, remember, at 128. It's been sitting here now for about 15 minutes while we got the coals going. And now we're just gonna sear this off on all sides. And each of these sides is gonna get a minute or two. We're just trying to sear the fat cap, develop that crust, but it's already done from a temperature perspective, so we don't need to keep it on here long. We just want nice grill marks like that. Look at that beautiful crust. We're actually getting the fat cap nice and seared, and that's what we're looking for. All right, all that fat's rendering off now and starting a larger fire. I think we've got this crust here done to perfection. Just look at that. So you can see here, this has been resting and it rose from its internal of 128 to about 130 here on that side. And we'll try on this side as well, just to make sure we got a similar temp. Here we're 131. All right, so now there's just one thing left to do, and that's carve into this guy. So we're just gonna carve off the trusses here first, peel those back, and that is gonna let us access this rack of ribs. Now these guys are gonna be packed with flavor, so don't throw them away. Give them to anybody who just loves meat that's close to the bone. Get the rest of these trusses out of the way here. Now let's carve in, see how this guy turned out. Just look at that. This is a perfect medium rare. So again, as things are opening back up again, this is the perfect meal to have if you've got any kind of crowd. It's so easy, you just toss this on. This took us probably 5 hours from start to finish here. Just look at that beautiful medium rare and just juicy. I mean, the juices are just flowing here. Unbelievable. Now, if you've got a cutting board that has one of the grooves in it, we'd highly recommend you carve over top of that, just simply because you're not gonna lose that juice. Now we've got our caramelized onions here. We've got our grilled peppers. We've got our grilled garlic. Now there's only one thing left to do, and that's go in for a bit of the taste test. Looking at this, we've got a huge cap. The spinalis cut here, really, really nice. So I'm gonna take a cross section out of the spinalis, go in for that taste test. That is really good. You get the smokiness from that pellet grill. You get a bit of the char from the charcoal there at the end. The salt, pepper, garlic seasoning. This is really, really tender. The marbling on this was phenomenal, and you can tell all that marbling rendered down. So the beef just melts in your mouth here. So now we gotta get this inside and let the rest of the family try this. So thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video and you think we deserve it, smash that like button. It really helps us with the YouTube algorithm, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in.